Today, I'm breaking down one of the most insightful explanations of Palantir's original vision and why it represents one of the biggest market opportunities in tech history. I'll be reacting to a clip from Gary Tan. He was an early employee at Palantir and is now the president and CEO of Y Combinator. Gary witnessed Palantir's founding vision firsthand and understands both the technical challenges they solved and the massive market they've identified. After I played the clip, I'll cover three key insights. One, the massive untapped opportunity Palantir's founders identified in Fortune 500 companies and the government. Two, how they created an entirely new way of solving trillion-dollar problems. And three, why this opportunity has only got bigger over the past 20 years.
Since you were early at Palantir, maybe tell us a little bit about how did forward deployed engineer become a thing at Palantir, and what can founders learn from it now?
I mean, I think the whole thesis of Palantir at some level was that if you look at Meta, back then it was called Facebook, or Google, or any of the top software startups that everyone sort of knew back then, one of the key recognitions that Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and Stephen Cohen and Joe Lonsdale, Nathan Gettings, like the original founders of Palantir had, was that go into anywhere in the Fortune 500, go into any government agency in the world, including the United States, and nobody who understands computer science and technology at the level that at the highest possible level would ever even be in that room. And so Palantir's sort of really, really big idea that they discovered very early was that the problems that those places face, they're actually multi-billion dollar, sometimes trillion-dollar problems. And yet, this was well before AI became a thing. I mean, people were sort of talking about machine learning, but back then they called it data mining. The world is awash in data, these, giant databases of people and things and transactions, and we have no idea what to do with it. That's what Palantir was, is, and still is, that you can go and find the world's best technologists who know how to write software to actually make sense of the world. You have these petabytes of data and you don't know, how do you find the needle in the haystack? And the wild thing is, going on something like 22 years later, it's only become more true that we have more and more data and we have less and less of an understanding of what's going on. And it's no mistake that actually, now that we have LLMs, it is becoming much more tractable. And then the forward deployed engineer title was specifically, how do you sit next to literally the FBI agent who's investigating domestic terrorism? How do you sit right next to them in their actual office and see, what does the case coming in look like? What are all the steps? When you actually need to go to the federal prosecutor, what are the things that they're sending? What's funny is literally it's like Word documents and spreadsheets, right? And what you do as a forward deployed engineer is take these sort of, file cabinet and fax machine things that people have to do, and then convert it into really clean software. So, the classic view is that it should be as easy to actually do an investigation at a 3-letter agency as going and taking a photo of your lunch on Instagram and posting it to all your friends. That's, kind of the funniest part of it. And so, I think it's no mistake today that forward deployed engineers who came up through that system at Palantir now, they're turning out to be some of the best founders at YC.
That clip was pure gold. Hearing from someone who was actually there when Palantir identified what might be the biggest opportunity in software history. Gary is basically explaining the founding insight that created a company which is now worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And what I still find most incredible is that the opportunity has only got bigger since then. Quick plug, I help businesses grow using YouTube. One law firm I worked with now makes hundreds of thousands a year from a channel we launched together. If you run a law firm, you're likely missing a huge opportunity. Book a call with me using the link below to find out more. Palantir's founders realized that 4,500 companies and government agencies had a multi-billion and trillion-dollar set of problems, but no one with high-level computer science expertise was ever in the room to solve them. Gary explains that Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, and the founding team recognized that while Meta, Google, and top startups had brilliant technologists, these same caliber people were completely absent from the rooms where the world's biggest problems were being discussed. This is the foundational insight that created Palantir's moat. Gary is describing how the founders identified a massive arbitrage opportunity. World-class technical talent was concentrated in Silicon Valley startups, whilst trillion-dollar problems sat unsolved in enterprise and government. Palantir didn't just build software, they identified an entire underserved market of critical problems that no one else was equipped to solve. This explains now why Palantir charges premium prices and also maintains long-term contracts. They're solving problems that literally no one else can address. Gary describes the core problem as having petabytes of data, but no understanding of what to do with it, finding needles in the haystacks of information. Before AI became mainstream, organizations were awash in data with massive databases of people, things, and transactions, but had no way to extract meaningful insights using traditional data mining techniques. Gary just explained why Palantir's market opportunity has only expanded. In 2002, organizations had data problems they couldn't solve. In 2025, these same organizations have exponentially more data and even less understanding of how to use it. The needle in the haystack problem, which Gary describes, is now a needles in oceans problem. This is why Palantir's AI platform is so valuable. They've been solving data integration and analysis problems for 20 plus years. And now, with large language models, they can solve them at scale across entire enterprises. The market opportunity hasn't just grown, it's completely exploded. Gary explains how Palantir created the forward deploy engineer role to sit directly next to end users like FBI agents, understanding their actual workflows and converting their filing cabinet and fax machine processes into clean software. Forward deployed engineers literally sit in FBI offices watching domestic terrorism investigations, seeing the Word documents and spreadsheets being used, then build software to make investigations as easy as posting a photo on Instagram. This is Palantir's secret weapon that companies still cannot replicate. Gary is describing how Palantir doesn't just build software and hope customers figure it out, they embed engineers directly into the most critical operations in the world. This model creates incredible customer stickiness and deep understandings of real problems. It also explains why Palantir's contracts are so valuable and long-term when you have engineers embedded in FBI counterterrorism operations or military planning. You become essential infrastructure, not just another vendor. The fact that these forward deployed engineers are now becoming top founders at Y Combinator shows the caliber of talent and problem solving expertise this model creates. Gary just explained the original thesis that created one of the world's most valuable software companies. And this opportunity has only got bigger. The gap between world-class technical talent and trillion-dollar problems that Palantir identified 20 years ago hasn't closed, it's widened. What's incredible is that Gary describes problems from 2002 that sound exactly like the problems enterprises face today, just with exponentially more data. Palantir didn't just build a company, they identified and capitalized on one of the largest market opportunities in history, bringing Silicon Valley level technical expertise to solve the world's most important problems. The forward deployed engineer model Gary describes is still Palantir's competitive advantage. While other companies build generic AI tools, Palantir embeds engineers into the Pentagon, FBI, and Fortune 500 boardrooms, standing problems that no competitor even knows exists.